So some things if you've never seen Hollow Knight in general, we'll just cover a little bit of the basics here for you real quick. It's a Metroidvania, which means that you are intended to go to an area to acquire a skill, and then go to another area to acquire another skill, which unlocks other areas, and so on and so forth. Other things to note, you're going to have mask shards pop up in the top left corner here shortly that will be indicating their health. And then to the left of that is their mana globe or soul globe. For all intents and purposes, this fills up to 9. And each nail hit gives you 1 soul, and most spells cost 3 soul. And we saw a trick here right off the top that you're going to be seeing a lot throughout this run, Tom, the inventory drop. And it's one of the major reasons that we're playing on patch 1.2.21.
Yeah, so the inventory drop allows you, when you open your inventory, the game doesn't actually check that you have capped your fall speed. So while you have your inventory open, you can keep falling faster and faster. This allows you to get down places faster than you would. It also means you don't get a hard fall. What a hard fall is you'll hit the ground and you'll see the character stop for a little bit. We can avoid that by kind of tricking the game into not realizing we fell.
Mm-hmm. So we are, it's worth noting here, we aren't doing this in RTA, we are doing loadless. One of the things with Hollow Knight is that it varies quite significantly on your load times. And you can have a runner, for example, that would be, 2 minutes ahead on screen, perhaps, but in the actual in-game time, it would be completely different. So we do have a load remover for this game, so you might see that these times are going to be, separating further apart from one another throughout the course of the run, just based on the power of their machines individually, but we will be using the loadless time.
Yeah, I can't tell too quickly because it's only been a couple loads that we've seen, but it looks like the runners' load times are actually pretty close to each other because they've gone through like 3 loads now, and the timers on screen are till almost the exact same, actually.
Mm-hmm. So it probably shouldn't be that big a concern, but just something to kind of keep in mind for the rest of the tournament. So one of the heavy things that you need to really manage in this game, and in particular this route, is your soul and your geo management. It's all routed in very specifically so that you acquire the appropriate amount of geo before you get to shops and where you have to buy some things. And runners don't want to take hits, so they don't have to consume soul to heal, which might mean it might have to backtrack to hit things like these venge flies to acquire a little bit more soul, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of sort of deceptive precision to the way that this game at a high level is operating on.
Yeah, everything's routed really specifically, especially now. There's a new geo route probably a couple months ago, so now the geo is within like a couple geo of being off. Like if you miss a couple geo, you actually have to go back and find another way to get it. With runs, with speed runs where you're just going for a best time, it's not as much of an issue because if you're off geo, if you're off soul, you kind of just reset. But for races, they're going to have to find a way around it if they don't have enough soul or geo. It should be kind of interesting and new.
Mm-hmm. And that's another one of the differences talking about earlier with these deaths. Obviously, they can't reset in the middle of a race situation, so things that you may not normally get nervous about in the course of speed runs and PB attempts, where you just be like, okay, well, if I fail this, I'm going to be way behind anyway, so I'll just reset. You might see the runners take things a little bit more cautiously. So Logan here on the left side of your screen is the first to False Knight. This is a fairly quick encounter, mostly for the purposes of getting to Vengeful Spirit, and there's a dev-intended skip here, which you probably would not have been aware of in your casual playthrough. You just beat the first cycle here of the False Knight, and then wait for him to fall through the floor, and you can go right through this left side wall. So 309 exit from False Knight for Logan, and Sean is just going to be about 5 seconds behind. So still pretty tight here in the early going.
Yeah, so the other thing about False Knight and these kind of future bosses you're going to see Green Path, you're going to see Hornet pretty soon. For these runners, it's not too much of a problem. We talk about how dying can be a big setback, but for things like this, we really don't expect any of the runners in the tournament to die to them.
No, it's going to be a few moments yet before we come across anything that's going to be potential significant time loss. So this is Vengeful Spirit, aka the Fireball. And that's a 340. Yeah, actually, Sean caught up just a little bit there, maybe by about a second. And Logan will now be heading over towards Green Path to get the first skill, which is going to allow people to go much faster.
Yeah, so they're just going to run through this little section. They need to do this section to open the gate that they woke up by, but then they'll be going right to Green Path, and Green Path features a few cool skips with the Fireball, actually, that you'll get to see later. Right now, they're about 5 seconds apart, it looks like, which really, in the course of a run, doesn't mean too much, especially in a race.
Yeah. one missed platform can easily catch up that time for Sean if Logan happens to make a mistake. And also this thing coming up right here, there's a fair amount of RNG in Hollow Knight, and one of them is this Balder. The world record for total spits without getting a Balder, I believe, is 14. Logan gets first spin, so he's actually able to clear through that immediately. We'll see what kind of RNG Sean gets now on the right-hand side. There's a fireball in the first, he gets second. That's not too bad. He loses a bit of time, but not much.
Yeah, so each of those spits is a 50-50 shot to spit either a Balder or a Fireball or a spit, or whatever you want to call it. So there are actually runs that will reset if they get too many spits at that point, but luckily it wasn't too bad for either of them. There's a bit of RNG in this room coming up too. Like, these couple rooms in a row have a lot of RNG. So what they need here is they need 6 hits of soul, and you'll see why. So you'll see Logan, he has 3 so far. He kind of fell a little bit. But the flying enemies in this room are actually random, so you kind of have to route on the fly to get 6 hits. And Logan got either 7 or 8. I think he got 8, actually.
And the reason for that is because you need to throw a fireball here. Fun fact, if you go just a little bit off screen, it one-shots the Balder. And you also need to maintain a bit of soul to do the fireball skip right there. So the way that works is that when you cast Vengeful Spirit, it actually gives you a bit of knockback, and in this particular case, it's actually just enough to allow you to cross that gap instead of falling like Sean did.
Yeah.
So he's got to take the intended sort of under route there and loses a little bit of time.
Yeah, and in terms of the fireball skips, you'll actually see 3 in green path. That one's by far the most forgiving. If you miss it, you just have a little path to go through. The second one that Logan's about to come up on is basically required. You lose minutes if you have to go around, although there's a backup if you miss the fireball skip.
So we'll see how Logan does on the left-hand side of your screen as Sean's trying to play catch-up. There's Hornet, 2 fireballs. It was a little close, but Logan got it.
Yeah,
just fine.
He was low. I thought he was too low, honestly, but he had it. So Sean hasn't actually run any percent specifically for a while, so even though he runs other categories... Oh, he goes for 3 fireballs.
Yeah,
right. So 3 fireballs will have
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to slow him down for the Hornet fight, but it's better that he doesn't have to do that other, minutes lost routing that you were saying earlier, so that's fine.
Yeah. So he will have to find other ways to get soul here, because he will need fireballs for this skip, or he's just going to not go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, he's going to go for it. He'll do 3 for that as well.
Trip, yeah. Okay.
So generally...
I was just going to say, it looks like he's not going to end up doing the VK route either. He went to go break those rocks right there. One of the new adjustments to the route is that you go and kill Vengefly King in order to get Geo just a little bit faster.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. It's definitely harder to do VK route, but it saves... I forget what they figured out. They figured out like 5 to 6 seconds. Because you'll also see later on in the run, because Logan is doing Vengefly... He is, right? I'm pretty sure he is. He's not going to need rocks later in the run, so he'll save a bit of time later as well. He messed up the kill pretty bad, though.
That's alright. He ends up getting it anyway. Has to kind of run around and collect his Geo, unfortunately.
Yeah. So because of this, he'll actually probably lose time from doing Vengefly route. So it's kind of a risk versus reward thing.
Yeah, and that's another thing in PB attempts that you will tend to reset on if you screw it up. So a little bit of time catch up for Sean there. You kind of needed, given that he did double triple fireball, if that makes any sense. And now the first boss fight is coming up, and it is Hornet.
So Logan's actually at 2 HP, which is a little scary for Hornet. He's also at 205 Geo. You want to be at 206, but he can get 1 more Geo later if he needs it. I'm kind of curious to see how we'll do this. Because normally in a PB attempt, you're still playing this super aggressively, but in a race, if he dies to Hornet, he loses, I don't know what it is, something like 3 minutes. So he's probably playing pretty safe here. Yeah.
And this will be more time for Sean to be able to catch up if he decides to play it aggressive. Looks like he is going for slightly more aggressive strats than Logan. Logan's also missing some up slashes here, which is slowing him down even further. Sean takes a parry there. Very nice counter. So one of the things that they're going to do here, do you want to talk about the way that double hits work?
Yeah, so there's... I don't know how new it is, actually, but they used to just basically trap Hornet in the corner and attack the heck out of her until she died. But one of the things they try to do now is Hornet has a RNG attack. One of her attack patterns is like a jump back. So you can actually shoot a fireball, and as she jumps back, the fireball travels with her. And because of that, the fireball will hit her twice. So it's more relevant in some later fights, especially Watcher Nights, where you can get double or triple hits with 1 fireball. But for Hornet, it can save time.
So that's a technique that you'll be seeing the runners use a fair amount when it comes to boss fights. Is as enemies move away, you have a chance to abuse the hitbox of the fireball to get some extra hits and put in some extra damage. There's also going to be we didn't talk about damage really so far. The nail does 5 damage base when you first get it, and casually you probably ran around and used most of your magic, your soul meter for healing. But in the speed run, that's obviously slow when Vengeful Spirit does triple the damage before you even get Shaman Stone, which is a charm that upgrades your damage even further. So it just sort of further accentuated the importance of soul management in speedrun.
Yeah, there's some inventory drops here I've been watching. It hasn't been the cleanest fall from either of them, but again, this kind of isn't a point in the run where you're going to die. There are some tricks coming up that could lose or save significant amounts of time, but either way, after Fungal, they'll still be within, I'd guess, 30 seconds of each other, if not less.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Explosion Pogo.
Yeah.
On Logan's side. How much time does it save about?
Explosion. If you miss it and get the second explosion, I think it's like 7-8 seconds. If you have to go all the way around, I don't know. I reset if I have to go all the way around, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, okay. And it's going to be immediately followed up by another trick here to bypass going around to the right side to get your intended access to Mantis Claw. Logan, having some trouble with this Mantis Pogo here. Yeah, he's going to have to go around, but it is Sean having trouble with the Explosion Pogo. Yeah, that's the second miss for him, I believe.
Logan's 1 HP. Sean missed 2. Oh, no.
Monka S left and right. Okay, so Logan's fine. He ends up picking his wall jump ability here now, and that is going to be a save and quit. We didn't talk about how that works in this game. So you're permitted to save and quit after collecting items in this game, unlike something like in, say, Ori and the Blind Forest, where if you take a death and then you go back to your save, or you save and quit, or rather you just quit the game without saving again, you end up losing stuff and you have to go and pick them all up again. It's not the case in Hollow Knight. In Hollow Knight, once you pick up something, you can save, quit, you'll go back to the last place that you benched, which is important to note because they're going to be abusing that throughout the course of this run. And you had to keep anything that you collected. So Logan's now got his wall jump and is progressing forward to go grab his Dream Nail and Shaman Stone.
Yeah, and we'll see Sean. I think Sean missed 4 or 5 explosion pogos, and he actually went around. This is the intended way to get to this area, which is significantly slower. I know Logan got claw at 10:25, which isn't the greatest time, but we're going to see Sean with a single Mantis pogo here. He actually gets it, which is pretty nice. Pretty good. But he's still going to be about a minute behind because he couldn't manage to do explosion pogo.
Yeah, that's not the easiest backup to do in the world.
Yeah.
On the sheer basis of stress level, if nothing else, when you're down to 1 Mantis, so not too bad.
Logan's actually at an interesting part where there's not much going on. You need to get 6 hits of soul for this upcoming boss that you'll see right now. It's Gruzmother. It's a pretty quick boss. But a lot of runners actually get that soul in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see what Logan did.
Yeah, there's a couple reasons that we go over here. Obviously, Shaman Stone, picking them from Salooper is one of them, and then also unlocking Sly, which will be required later on. We need to buy something from him. And then we get to do Shade Skip.
Yeah. So part of the game is when you die, you're replaced by this shade, this kind of shadowy copy of yourself, and that shade can be attacked. And part of being attacked means it can be pogoed, which means you down slash it. And when you pogo the shade, you'll actually get a little bit of vertical movement. So because of this, we can abuse all of that, and we can actually get up to an area that we're not meant to access at this point, which Logan will be doing pretty soon. So it's called Shade Skip, and it gets you to City of Tears, which is the next area everyone will be entering, much earlier than intended.
Yeah, we go there to acquire the Dream Nail, which of course we need to access the dreams where the Dreamers are located, and currently keeping the Hollow Knight sealed. So intentional damage here from Logan on the left side, just to make that death to spawn the shade a little bit faster. And
yeah,
Sean, meanwhile, is working his way to Gruzmother.
Logan seems to have about a minute lead here, which is definitely significant. But again, if Logan messes up a boss fight later, it's very much able to come back from that.
Yeah, and I think we may have potentially seen some early signs of nerves when he was going into Hornet there on 2 HP, and then the 1 HP Mantis Pogo. So Logan's still playing aggressively in spite of that, but I think it could be a potential signifier of some unfortunate situations coming up. Hopefully not, but hopefully he has a clean race. But it would give Sean a definite leg up that he's starting to slowly need in terms of Logan making some more significant mistakes.
Yeah, and we'll see how Sean did on Shade Skip. We kind of glossed over it, but Logan did manage to get Shade Skip first try. The Shade did fire a fireball, which kind of slows it down a little bit, but he still got it. That is the only time they will use Shade Skip in the run. So,
and
more intentional.
For those that might be wondering, why not a Steel Soul run? This is basically why.
Yeah. Well, also for a race, Steel Soul might not be the greatest.
Yeah, it might not be the most conducive. Like immediate forfeit, like 10 minutes in the run.
Yeah, an interesting thing that can happen is Hornet, the boss you saw both them fight earlier, can actually soft lock. That means like when you kill her, she doesn't actually go away and you can't progress. So you'd have to reset, which would lose like 3 or 4 minutes. And,
it's pretty rare, but it can happen.
Yeah. Which isn't too much of a problem, again, when you're going for PBs, but in a race, I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen in the races.
All right, Shade Skip on Sean's side here, and very clean. It's a first try as well, and some dream platforming now for Logan on the left side. A little bit of some fumbling there on getting clean dashes straight to the platform, but making it through okay.
Yeah, it wasn't too clean, but it wasn't bad either. Again, in the race, this is the first race for all of them. This is actually the first round. It's the first match of the tournament, so there's going to be some nerves coming in for everyone.
And just touching on that quickly, while there's just kind of some traversing going on here, this is a double elimination format, so whoever loses this race will have a chance to recover in the losers bracket as well. So
yeah, it's a nicer format, especially for newer runners or runners with lower PBs. So that's what Logan just did, actually, is Sear Skip. You're supposed to wake up in that room to your left, but instead he dashed out before the cutscene could start. So he fell with kind of a weird-looking animation going on.
Yeah, a little bit of road rash for our vessel friend here, but it's faster, so he'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like still about a minute difference. I haven't really been paying attention to the clock. We'll see when Logan goes down this elevator up here. Looks like right about 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay, so around a 15-minute elevator hit there for Logan. One of the other reasons that that's going to be coming up here that we run on patch 1221, which is the last of the group troop patches, is lever skip. It is somewhat debatable in terms of whether it's a major or minor glitch, but it was patched out later by Team Cherry, and it is necessary for the purposes of this run in this category.
Yeah, it was like the first patch that they messed up lever skip, and then they immediately fixed it, but everyone's still down patches to that patch now.
Because it's faster. It's a lot faster, so. There's a dream
you'll see
Sean.
What Logan already did once. You don't unlock that there, Logan. He's collecting relics now, and the relics he's going to sell later for money. So the money is going to be used to buy stuff from Sly at the shop.
Yeah, so there's like Hollowness Seals and Wanderer Journals and that kind of thing, which you can go sell to them, which is basically just fast ways of getting Geo instead of killing enemies, and it's quicker to even take a damage boost there for the quick respawn in order to go collect those seals and just get money a little bit faster. So this is another Geo routed thing in killing the Gorgeous Husk. Again, you're going to see double hits here. They manipulate her in such a way that they get her into the corner, and then she jumps over, and as she's moving away, you do a fireball, get some hits, and some extra damage in.
Yeah, Logan fumbled up the end of the kill a little bit, but this is kind of the first part of the run where you really have to watch your health, because we do not bench from here until Watcher Nights, and Watcher Nights is notoriously a difficult boss, especially with like the minimal loadout that these guys have. So every hit you take past the bench in King Station, which Logan's already taken and Sean's about to get to, is significant, and you're probably going to see him heal, especially in a race.
Yeah,
my guess is on this upcoming elevator.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice clean stacked fireball there for Sean, and yeah, as you say, the heal there. So one thing that you may have not noticed in your casual playthrough of this game for the Watcher Knights, here's the lever skip that we were talking about right there on Logan's side. You did hit it by the looks, but I don't. He's got to try and manipulate these.
Oh, he did hit it.
There you go. Oh. Yeah. So now he's through a little bit of blind movement.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it was a good blind movement too.
Yeah.
I hate that dark room.
Yeah.
So again, he's probably going to heal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a pretty short dark room, but going back to my interrupting myself part, Logan on the left side of your screen here, I was going to break a chandelier, which actually just kills one of the Watcher Knights flat out and speeds up the fight significantly and also makes it easier. So some Dream Nails here, they gather soul a little bit quicker, so you can have some extra soul for some fireballs. And now begins the tough fight for Logan. Sean, meanwhile, on the right-hand side of the screen, eliminating Gorgeous Husk. Logan left this at 1626, so Sean is 1752 on the departure there, so about a minute and a half right now.
Yeah, it's pretty significant again. If Logan can survive this fight, he's in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also a tall order. He entered the fight at I think 33, so generally you want like a minute 10 times on this, but for races they'll probably be happy with just surviving, to be honest. Maybe like a minute 30 would be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you say, taking a death here is pretty significant.
3 HP. Okay. 3 HP and 2 Watcher Knights to go, which is about par for the course.
Couple tries on lever skip for Sean, but he gets it. And he's actually going to take a safety bench here.
So Logan's at 2 HP now, he just healed. I'm watching this Watcher Knights fight. Sean took a safety bench, like Shafe mentioned earlier, if you save quit out, or if you die. So if you die to these Watcher Knights, he's actually going to respawn at the bench he just took, whereas Logan would respawn all the way at King Station. He looks fine though, it looks like he's going to be alright. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably a big sigh of relief there for Logan, honestly, the way that kind of got away from him in the middle of the fight.
Yeah, he got to 1 HP there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 1 minute 30 fight or something.
So, one of the things about that safety bench on Sean's side, even though in the event that he dies, he will have a quicker return here to the Watcher Knights, it is going to mean a slower exit as he travels towards the next Dreamer here. So the Dreamers, the way they function in this game, here's one that Logan is entering now. There's 2 that are actually gated behind bosses. One of them here is the Watcher Knights, and the other one is gated behind Umu, and the third one is gated behind something of a bit of a maze instead. So this is 1 of 3 required in order to be able to access the Black Egg and fight the Hollow Knight and complete the game.
Yeah, the nice thing about having
a pretty decent fight here on the right-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, Sean has it pretty clean. See, I think the reason Sean's failing some of the like any percent specific skips and doing well. I say he's doing well on this, and now he's getting hit constantly. It's probably because in other categories you'll still have to fight Watcher Knights. Well, now he's not doing well. He's also going to be at 3 HP with these last 2.
Yeah, it takes a heal, not too bad. He had a cleaner first segment of that fight, though.
Yeah,
so
it started great.
Yeah,
and I started talking.
Yeah, so if he just closes out this, he'll actually catch up some of the time that he would end up losing as a result of the safety bench versus Logan. But getting a little bit of a trolley pattern here, honestly. You want the Knights to kind of stack up a little bit and move away at the same time in order to get the double hit, and they just weren't cooperating there for a moment. 1 left. A couple more fireballs should about do it.
Yeah, he's almost dead. There you go. Yeah, the 3 patterns that they can do, they can either roll sideways, they can bounce, or they can swing at you. If they swing at you, you can hit them to get soul, which is good. And if they roll, you can get double or even triple hits. And then if they bounce, well, that kind of just sucks. So you hope they don't bounce, and Sean got a lot of that.
Yeah. Alright, so onward to Umu. The goal here is to get a 2-cycle, but Palm, I think you can probably better explain exactly how difficult that is.
Yeah, Umu's not for... There's going to be a good bit of just wandering around without too much risk of death, without too much time variation. But once we do get to Umu, which is like a big run killer, basically Umu will occasionally open up, be ready for attacks, and he'll continuously do that until he dies. And the idea is that he only has to do it twice, and then you can get just enough damage on both of those times to have him be dead after the second, opening up. But it's also quite difficult. So I think, honestly, in a race, these runners will be happy getting a 3-cycle. Maybe the more top-tier runners would want a 2-cycle, but I don't know. I'd be happy with a 3-cycle for a race.
Yeah, so as you saw there, Logan taking some of the relics that he was picking up and turning them into Lem in order to acquire some Geo, in order to get the legal 5 lantern later on, which is just pretty much a requirement on the basis of the way that it hard blocks Crystal Peaks, where you want to go in order to get Crystal Dash. So, an unfortunate bit of just kind of necessary shopping, if you will, but it is what it is, so I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, and one of the things they're going to buy is a lantern. So what the lantern does is it lights up the darker rooms that you'll see around the map. A common question for people who are just watching the run is, why don't you get lantern? Why don't you just memorize the rooms? The reason is actually when you enter Crystal Peak, there's a toll, and to pay the toll, you actually have to have the lantern. So it doesn't just light up things. It actually is part of a check in the game's code. It's kind of curious. You actually have the in-game timers almost exactly the same. Like 5 seconds apart with in-game time. Which
is actually good for a viewership perspective. You get to have a bit of a better indication than you might see with a wider variation in computing power between the runners. It's pretty close comparison, so it's nice to have. It's one of those quality of life things, I suppose. So now the lantern is purchased, and Logan is going to be going to get Crystal Heart, which is basically a super dash in the game, and allows you to traverse a great distance in a very short time frame, and also hard locks a few areas.
Yeah, again, after the Watcher Knights fight, there's kind of a good amount of downtime in the run, where they're just walking around, getting stuff they need to before having any other fights or real risks of death here. Logan's going to actually take some intentional damage, most likely, during this segment, but again, they know the route well enough where they're not going to die here. Or, I shouldn't say that, I'm going to jinx it. That's the idea.
Imagine going under the platform and not dying.
Yeah, this is actually a neat place. Oh, that was good. This is a neat place where there's a lot of small optimizations you can do, so you do faster times. So runners have been focusing on it a bit recently.
And one of them you're going to see Logan probably go for here is skipping a laser cycle. Right
I don't know if he does. No, he kills that. That's a new strat.
Playing it super safe for a race environment, I suppose. Didn't want to take any damage there.
So Sean just took intentional damage waiting for the stag station, which is debatable whether or not that's a major glitch, and it saves about 0.3 seconds. So he's risking the integrity of his run for a 0.3 second save there, which I think was just discovered either today or yesterday.
Well, it's not in the race rules. Right?
I think the general consensus was it's okay, but it definitely wasn't officially agreed upon.
It's been pretty clean movement overall here from Logan in Crystal Peaks. Goes for the Homophily Fireball, gets it. And takes it. That's an intentional damage on that laser there in order to set up a cycle here. He's going to stall in the air shortly, and then dash there.
And under. Yeah, so he's at 2 HP now, but all 3 of those, well, 2 of the pieces of damage he took were intentional, and 1 is more or less inevitable, which is the one that Sean's also getting hit by right now. So we kind of expect to be at 2 HP here. Also, 184 Geo is a good place to be. He won't need Geo for later in the run. He has enough.
186 for Sean right now.
Yeah, 186 is also fine. They're both about 10 Geo over what they really need to be.
Alright, so another save and quit from Logan going back to Dirtmouth. And going to be dropping down, and now that he has Crystal Heart, it is officially on the way to Umu.
Yeah. So the path to Umu's not too bad, but it's very important. You want to have, that was a pretty sick drop actually. You want to have as much health as you can when going into the boss, so it's pretty important you don't get hit. And there are some spots where you can definitely mess up and get hit. Like that.
Ooh, like it's like you're a prophet.
Dude, that's why I shouldn't be saying people won't die on the way to Crystal Heart. I don't want to risk it, man.
Sean did take one bit of damage there from one of his crystal laser dudes. Continuing on his way. Ooh, he gets
Did he?
spiked for it as well.
Did he heal it?
No, he didn't. He might have healed the initial damage that you were talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah,
He must have healed a gate.
Yeah.
Logan's taken 2 hits now. I think 3 total and healed 1. I haven't really been paying attention, but he's going to either need to bench or heal this, or just play an extremely risky Umu when he's already like a minute ahead. Which
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, throughout the course of this tournament to see some Umu benching.
Oh, he's going? Oh no, he's going bench. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's the bench. It doesn't cost a whole lot of time in order to do it, so it's not big, and it's definitely a tournament safety strat. Umu can get away from you sometimes.
Logan's getting murdered here. The other nice thing about that bench is if he does die to Umu, which at 3 HP is, somewhat likely, there are a decent amount of damage tanks and all. He will respawn at that bench. So this is Umu. He's going to Dream Nail for soul here. One of the things people don't know is you can Dream Nail bosses or any enemy and actually get soul from it. And it's kind of required to 2-cycle. Well, it's not kind of. It very much is required to 2-cycle. What he's doing is kind of manipulating Umu, because Umu follows you. He's going to follow down to this platform, and the next Umu is going to go toward the middle platform. We're hoping... There he comes. And then he's going to try to get... I think it's 150 total damage here with the cycle. We'll see how he does. I think he's slow. No, he got it. So that's the first cycle. He basically just needs to do that again. And now it's unlikely.
No.
Dunking in the acid isn't only bad because you lose health. It kind of messes up where you want Umu to be.
And that's twice. He might actually take a death here.
He could get this if he goes left Dream Nails. He might 2-cycle this. No!
No,
Okay.
runs into...
Now the race is pretty interesting.
Yep. Okay, so that's a 27-11 rebench for Logan. Just keep that in mind for when Sean gets there, because it was approaching about a 2.5-minute gap, and now it's a little bit different. It's a very tough crystal dash above the acid water there that Sean just did, and he nailed it first try. Very good.
Yeah, my guess is if Logan knew how far ahead he was, he wouldn't have gone into Umu with 3 HP. But that's another thing about the race, is you kind of have to just guess where your opponent's at, get a feel for how well you're doing. With 5 health, though, he shouldn't be dying to this again.
No.
Whether or not he 2-cycles is under question.
Yeah. We'll see if Sean takes a bench here on the right-hand side. Looks like he's going to. Not surprised, given the safety bench that he took before the Watcher Knights. He'll need to get a little bit more soul here on his way through.
So Logan again got the full cycle in the first cycle, and he got enough soul. Yeah, so he's at full soul. He just needs to manipulate Umu into the right position, which is not going well. He's too high. So what happens here is Umu's too high up, so he's not going to get stuck in that bottom platform, so you can't get the full damage cycle you could otherwise. But 3 cycles should be pretty free for Logan here, even at 2 HP. Sean's just starting Umu. If Sean can get a 2-cycle, this is a really tight race.
Yeah, it'll even up in a real hurry here.
Umu's a bit higher, though.
Umu's down, well. 28-46.
So Sean messed up the first cycle, yeah. He can't get a 2-cycle now. But you gotta get a amount of damage on him.
I mean, even if he doesn't die here, that's a lot of catch-up for him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Going back over to the right-hand side to try and manipulate the position. Looks like he's getting over, but he's not.
It's not the best.
No.
He still can 3-cycle here, but it's not as free as Logan's was after his first 2 attacks. The part of the run coming up for what's he at? 2 HP. The part of the run coming up for Logan is kind of the most movement-demanding part of the run. There's not going to be a fight until the final fight of the game. I want to watch Sean here. Oh, he's probably like a nail hit away. He's really close to dead.
Yeah.
So we'll see a lot of movement from Logan. There's also a point in the run. There's 2 paths you can take. You can go through Queen's Garden, which is meant to be a really late game area. Yeah, he was 3 nail hits.
3 nail hits, yeah.
That's like
29-43. So Sean caught up by about a minute, actually.
That's good.
On the sheer basis of
it's always nice to see closer.
So yeah, like we were alluding to earlier, and as Palm was just mentioning, we have the two bosses that gate two of the Dreamers, the Watcher Knights, and we just saw completed. But then the third one is gated behind a relatively dangerous maze in Beast's Den, which, like you said, is very tight movement. It's very easy to take a lot of damage on the way to the final Dreamer. So this is a pretty heavily optimized section of movement at this point for a lot of runners.
Yeah.
And it's unlikely at this point, I would say, that Logan's gonna be at risk of dying until Hollow Knight. But
well, Logan's going a different route actually. Logan's going through Deep Nest, so that's a much safer route that loses about 40 or so seconds. I think it's 40 or 50 seconds, but it is much safer. And with his lead, it kind of makes sense. Although I don't know if he has. I don't know if he has this lead. Do the runners know what the other's time is? I would assume not.
Well, I mean, it's not like a randomizer race or anything, right? I imagine they'd be permitted to watch each other's streams.
Yeah.
So they could know where they are at respectively, and Logan might think that he's got the confidence, if he is watching, presumably, the confidence in the the Hollow Knight fight to be able to close out the race at this point. So, talk about the skip that would save Sean some time here, QGA.
Yeah, so we'll see if Sean actually goes for it. I don't know. I know Logan's PB actually does do Deep Nest, so I'm not too surprised he's going for Deep Nest. But QGA, whether or not Sean goes for it, is a skip. It's a room where you're meant to have an item. It's called Isma's Tear that allows you to swim in acid and not take damage. But what you can do is you can just use that crystal dash, that super dash they got earlier, to just go across the whole room. And Sean is going for it, so you'll see it here. It's extremely precise.
Yeah.
So you have to land on this wall and start the crystal dash, and then land here and jump. So he missed the jump at the end there. So this is really why Queen's Den is so much riskier. He's already at 2, he's already at 1 HP.
He's going to heal here for sure.
Really rough. But it's easily the hardest trick of any percent NMG. He got it, okay.
Okay. So that's actually still a time save for him to the tune of about 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's a time save still, but he also has to get soul and health now, because there are intentional damage tanks here. Like, you can see he's wasting time just dream nailing this and healing, so overall it actually might not save too much. I'm kind of curious, I don't know how much it'll save.
I would estimate around 10 seconds still at the point, despite having to do the soul catch-up and healing.
Yeah.
But,
well, he doesn't know the crystal dash here.
Sean,
come on, man.
It could just be race nerves too, just forgetting it outright.
Well, I don't think that crystal dash. I don't know. I was watching previous PBs, and that crystal dash is relatively new, as in probably like a year old at this point. So Sean might not know about it,
considering his PB was 2 years ago.
Yeah. I don't know. He might know about it, but just like, yeah, with muscle memory. Now Sean's definitely losing time here because he lost another 2, another 3 health, and there's an intentional damage tank right here, which I don't know if he'll go for. Yep, he will. So Sean's comfortably at 1 HP.
Comfortably at 1 HP,
and there are 2 more damage tanks in the run, intentional damage tanks, before the final boss.
Yeah, so
he needs soul bad.
Yeah, he saved some time, but then he probably lost it, as you said, just because he's got to gather all this soul up again and then do more healing and then Beast Den and all that. So
yeah.
Logan, meanwhile, having a relatively good Beast Den.
Logan's healing to 5. Damage. Everyone's playing it safe, dude. Again, the nerves are definitely there for a race over a PB.
Oh yeah, especially when you're the opening match as well. I can't imagine the pressure that is.
Oh, Sean.
Oh, Sean, please.
So there was a new There was a new glitch found where you can actually keep that weird bench music that you heard throughout the entirety of Beast Den, which doesn't save or lose any time and is completely pointless. But I do expect all runners to do it from now on. I'm disappointed Logan's not.
Honestly, we should have it as a requirement for run validate, so that we know we aren't getting splice runs. Yeah,
that's true. They could just be restreaming old runs.
Nobody would ever do that.
I don't know if these are runs that they'd have too much pride in.
If this is what you're submitting as a splice run, man, that would be something else. All right, so Logan's almost through Beast Den here, unlocking the last streamer. There actually is, you won't see it, but there is like a scary little spider metallic dude in this area that was intended to be a boss, but got removed from the game. So we're all kind of quietly hoping that it shows up in Soul Song.
Is that confirmed that it was intended to be a boss? I never knew that.
Mm-hmm. And then, for whatever reason, they just got rid of it. So these devouts can give you a lot of crap. Case in point, Logan takes 2 hits.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about it. The fastest way to kill those devouts is a damage tank. So what they do is they fireball 3 times, and then they wait for the devout to open its mask so you can hit it. They hit it twice, and then they intentionally run into the devout, which is important because running into the devout will lose you 1 mask of damage, which isn't too bad. But if you get hit by its like claws, you'll lose 2 masks. So they run into the devout to take 1 mask of damage and then finish off the kill.
Yeah, and for the most part in this category, like there are other things in this game that will deal more than 1 damage. For the most part, it's 1, but that is one of the instances where 2 damage is definitely possible.
Yeah, on current patch, so this patch was mentioned a couple times, is 1221. On current patch, the final boss fight can actually do 2 points of damage on certain attacks, but with this you can only get 1. We are at a point where Logan's far enough ahead where he would probably have to die to the final boss at least once to lose the race.
Yeah. What would you say is, I guess, optimal race Hollow Knight split time?
Oh, I mean, it definitely depends on their runner. Because I know there are top runners out there where like they're trying to get 34 or 35s every race. When you say Hollow Knight split, do you mean like...
I mean the individual split, like the Hollow Knight fight himself.
Optimal for like personal bests, you tend to try to get like a minute 20. For these races, probably depends on the runner, like a minute 30 to a minute 40. That's for the fight. For the entire split, it would be like 4 minutes.
Well, the reason I ask is because Logan had a 34-43 finish on the final.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get the separation 36-17 for Sean there. So he's about a minute and a half behind. So yeah, sort of average Hollow Knight fight from Logan that ended up dying close to the end would actually even this out for Sean.
Yeah. Yeah, if Logan dies once to Hollow Knight, then it's a really close race. Otherwise, unless he really screws up Hollow Knight, he should be fine here.
Takes the bench even.
Takes
get
the
that extra 1 HP.
Yeah, that bench is kind of special. Normally, the bench is, like, if you quit out, you'll go to that bench. If you die in this fight, even if you don't take that bench and you quit out, you'll end up at that bench anyway. The game kind of hard saves.
Yeah, there's a trigger there that when you cross it, it's just like, you benched here. Alright, so Sean is now exiting Beast Den, heading towards Hollow Knight. As I said, he's about just over a minute and a half behind. And Logan is starting up this Hollow Knight fight. As mentioned, what you're going to be trying to do here is that when the Hollow Knight does his sort of dashing pierce attack, you want to get a nail hit as you're jumping across him, and then do a fireball as he's heading away from you in order to try and get that double hit worth of damage to the Vengeful Spirit. Getting some parries here, which slows things down as well. So going reasonably well. He's only taken 1 hit so far.
I don't think Logan's actually gotten a double here, which is slow, but again, with his time, I think that was just a single. With his time,
with his lead, it's not a massive deal.
He's actually had two fireballs that would have doubled, except the Hollow Knight got staggered after the first hit, which always just feels bad to see, because you just lost a free fireball's worth of damage. I wonder how much he'll heal here. I'd say he heals to 5, honestly.
Yeah, the way he's been playing, I wouldn't be too surprised. But
he went to 4, okay.
That's alright. Another parry as he's jumping over. Big unfortunate.
I want to see Logan get 1 double, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Oh, Scream Skip we should probably talk about. So there's a point in this fight where the Hollow Knight will stop and scream, which will pause your character for, I think it's like 6 or 7 seconds. If you get hit right as he starts to scream, which Logan didn't, he got kind of a bad pattern, it will actually completely skip your character being frozen. So this should be the end of the fight here. We'll see Logan's time pretty soon. I think the timer will stop automatically because they're using Live Split, right? You should have like a 38 41, 38, 42 about. So if Sean can get a 3-second fight, he's okay.
Yeah.
All in all, it was relatively close. I mean,
Yeah.
we both saw Holland on the same screen. That's something.
Mm. Yeah, it's only be a minute apart. I mean, obviously, like we talked about at the top of the race, Sean's been running other categories, so we sort of expected him to get a race PB here. But closer than it might have been anticipated on paper with a 7-minute difference between their PBs,
Yeah.
and to be only like a minute and a half apart at the Hollow Knight fight, which with some of the decisions Logan made, like not doing QGA, and if Sean ended up getting QGA and didn't have the spaghetti afterwards, probably would have been, I'd say, even within 40 seconds here.
Yeah, it wasn't too far off overall. I am watching Sean right now, kind of distracted. I'm seeing if Sean gets a double.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see someone get a double in this. It's good of Sean to finish out the race, though. So we can try to see. Oh, that was screen skip. He definitely could have gotten that. I'm trying to see when the next matches are. I don't actually know. I know there are a bunch happening this week. Ideally we want round 1 to be done by the end of the week. I think it's like Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, but don't quote me on that.
All right, that's the fight for Sean, which will be an over 2-minute PB for him.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah,
that's great.
Let's see how much he PB by.
It's like a 40. I don't know.
Could be like a 27, 26.
26. All right. I don't know what his PB is.
42.58. So that is
That's 2.5.
Yeah, like a 2:32 PB for him. So GG to Sean. That was pretty excellent performance on his part, honestly. Given the fact that he doesn't really grind this category, for him to just walk in off of running other categories and then pull together a PB in the middle of a race. Well performed by both runners, honestly.
Yeah, no, it was a good race.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in the middle of it. You're opening up the race for the tournament. You got the eyes on you. You got the extra little bit of nerves, maybe pressure to perform well and put on a good showcase. But all things considered, pretty well handled by both runners. Only saw the one death on Logan's side to Umu, and that was about it. So GG's.
Oh, we got someone.
Sean, hello. Congrats on your PB, dude.
Yeah, thanks.
40-26. How did you expect to perform overall? I mean, you kind of talked before the race that you figured unless Logan made some massive mistakes that you probably weren't in it to win this one. But your performance overall, considering you're kind of just walking into this category again, what do you think?
Better than I expected, at least. But not good.
Well, I mean, it was hard to really point out like any significant errors that you were making, though. Like aside from QGA going like completely wrong on you and everything after that Queen's Garden, overall, I think you need to give yourself a little bit more credit, man. It was pretty well run.
Thanks. You're forgetting Explosion Pogo, though.
Oh yes, I am forgetting Explosion.
Well, we were talking about
the 6th try.
It wasn't a try.
Yeah,
we were talking about like how much time it would take to go around, and we didn't know how much time it would take, so
yeah, I guess you showed it for us.
Yeah, that's good.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now you know the route.
Now you know the route. So that would probably give you like like a 37, 38 probably?
Oh, Explosion? I don't know.
If that went cleanly for you?
Might have been like a minute loss. I'm not actually sure.
Well, on top of KGA, but nonetheless,
anyway. That would a minute with the failed attempts, yeah.
Yeah. Well, nonetheless.
Well, you are still in the tournament. We do have a loser's bracket.
Yeah. I get to go against Simo. I think I stand a chance on that one. We'll see.
We'll see.
Actually,
That's
no,
the fun
I
of it.
shouldn't say I'm going against Simo. He hasn't lost yet.
Just the presumptuous. This
No
is
one's
who I'm
lost.
going to face. I like it. You should try and pull Logan in here.
Yeah, I know he's been feeling sick, so I don't know if he's going to come in.
Oh no, he's actually just said that he's not going to be there. He's not feeling well, so he wants to go
Yeah.
to bed. So we won't get a chat with Logan, unfortunately. That's all right.
He's too good for us now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
I do want to see if we can pull up when the next races are, just so we can tell people.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had it up. It's going to be, so this is an Eastern time. It's going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. There's going to be one, which is really early. And then Thursday, it looks like at 8 p.m., Friday at noon, and Saturday at noon. So almost every day.
And those are all Eastern times?
Those are all Eastern time, yeah.
Okay, so that next one's like right when I wake up. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. I will probably not be awake for that one either.
Nope.
All right. Well, that was the first race. GG to both runners, Sean and Logan. Well run. This has been the first race of the Hollow Knight 80% NMG 2019 tournament. Thank you guys all for watching, and thanks to SpeedGaming for allowing us to run the tournament on here.